All right, now we're going to move on to the light roast, which we should be able to do quite quickly. So I already have on the P64 just a espresso grind size that's on the coarser side of things, so we'll likely need to go finer. But we're using this National Ethiopia. First thing I'm going to do, though, because it's a lighter roast, I want more ratio. I don't want to do as truncated as a shot, a 1-to-2, as I did with the other. I'm going to put 18 grams in my portafilter, but I'm going to increase the yield. So the way I'm going to do that is there's the context button on the side. I'm going to hit that, then I'm going to hit Edit Profile, and we're just going to roll down to output. It's currently at 36 grams, which is a 1-to-2. I'm going to increase that ever so slightly to 45. I guess that's not slight, that's a lot. So we're going to do that. We're going to hit save, and we're ready to go. Now again, I'm going to fill this up with water and start the heating of it. Now you don't have to use a kettle. I'm doing this because we're pulling mini shots back to back, and it just speeds it up to have already heated water, but this obviously heats it for you. So now I'm going to open up this bag, and we're going to weigh it out. Now that we've moved to a lighter roast, puck prep is a little more important. Just in brief, the lighter your roast, the more fragile the puck is going to be. It's going to be exposed a lot more to the dangers of pressure and flow going through it. So I am using a shaker, just giving it a shake. The shake doesn't matter as much as the actual dumping in. So we're going to dump it in as center as possible, but also shaking it can declump if you have clumps in it. And that's what we're looking at. I'm going to put this back on to just kind of tap, make it level. Give it a little vertical tap, and we're going to tamp it down just like before. Boom. Easy. And then we're going to pour our shot. Same profile, always air on the coarser side, so this probably won't build pressure, which actually I'd probably prefer with a lighter roasted coffee, is for it to stay on the lower side of pressure and just be kind of a lower flow through the puck. Let's see. Up. There goes that initial blast. And yeah, we are very coarse. We're at 1 bar of pressure. That just kind of flew through it. I'm way too coarse. But that is a good learning experience. Super low pressure. All right. So I still say taste it, though. We're going to see if this tastes good at all. We're going up to 45. There it goes. All right. And here we go. I tell you what, it smells really nice. Super fruity bouquet of flowers. It's a little salty. A little salty, like salinity. So it's a kind of salinity vibe going on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to fine it up a decent amount because that built 0.6 bar pressure, which, again, a lot of my shots, I use almost no pressure. So for me, that's not unheard of, but with this recipe and the way we're doing it, we definitely need to go finer. So I'm going to quite a bit finer, and we're going to do this all one more time. So we went quite a bit finer on this because, again, we did not get like any pressure on the previous one. So if you're looking to get some pressure, got to go finer to build up the resistance. All right, so here we go. We're building a bit. Okay, wow, we need to go even finer than that. So I made a big change finer, but it's okay. This still is going to be probably a more passable shot than the previous one. We only peaked at like 2 bar, but that means we got to go even finer, which again is absolutely fine. Just go finer. But first, we're going to taste it because this may be perfect. And as you can see, we only peaked at 2 bar. This is a light roast, and we have a ton of crema on there. All right, well, let's take a sip anyway. Way better. That one actually has a lot of fruits in it. I wouldn't necessarily say it's sour, but it's a bit under extracted. Maybe you could say it's a little imbalanced on the acidity presentation, but I wouldn't necessarily call it sour. I definitely think it can be better, whether that is just by increasing the yield more or going finer. Who's to say? Those are both things you could try out. But what we're going to do for the sake of the video is do one more shot, going even finer, and we'll finish. Okay, it's in there nicely. All right, here we go. Now we're at 9 bar pressure. Ooh, we may have choked it actually. So here's a nice little learning lesson. If you choke it, we're at 15 seconds and it's barely dripping out, you want to go ahead and abort the shot. Double click to abort it, then just get something so you can open up the pour filter. You'll have some water flowing out, but if you pull pour filter, it doesn't get on you. Might make a little bit of a splash, but that's the best way to handle it if it is running into an immovable force. Honestly, that one probably would have been fine because it was breaking through, but just to be extra safe, no need to put it in panic. If it's choking, it's supposed to be coming out and it's not, and it's just kind of stuck because you had it too fine. Double click. Good to go. All right. So we went a bit coarser. We're going to do this again. So this is requiring a much finer grind than a lot of coffees will, because it's almost to the ultralight territory. It's a very lightly roasted coffee, and it just does not want to build much pressure. When you roast really lightly, you don't produce as much carbon dioxide into the bean itself. Carbon dioxide is one of the things that increases pressure. That's one of the reasons dark roast can be ground so coarsely while still having such a high pressure. In addition to that, the lighter the roast, the more or the less brittle it is, the less you're going to have kind of a lot of fines and whatnot that are going to help with that resistance. So this coffee from Roasticious is going to cause you to grind a lot finer, which is why I actually recommend doing these lower pressure shots, maybe increasing the yield when you have a really light coffee. The finer you grind something, the more bitter it will become. So always chasing these high pressure shots is not going to be great if you like lighter roasted coffees. They can be solid with darker roasted coffees, but something to think about when you're playing around with other roast salts. Now that this is ready, boom and boom. All right, this one looks like it's going to be solid. There we go. All right, so now we peaked at about 6 bar. That's probably perfect for this coffee, or around about perfect. You don't really want to go super high on the pressure again, because that means that you're grinding really fine. So it's a reflection of going a bit too fine for what the coffee needs. We're finishing at around 2.7 bar, 2.6. It might go down a wee bit more. Yeah, there we go, up to 45 grams. Now this one, really beautiful shot of coffee. We can take a look at that graph really quickly as it's purging. So on this, we go up to about 10.8 again flow, but it peaks at about 3.6 pressure. Then it switches to flow first, and the highest pressure it gets is 5.8 before it starts to decline. Really beautiful decline right there, all the way until we hit the end, which was about 28 seconds. So, take a sip. That's the best of the shots that I pulled. Now, I still suspect my favorite iteration of this coffee with this profile would be if I were to have retained the grind size for that 1-2 bar peak and just increase the yield. One of the ways that you can improve your extraction, again, we'll do this in a future video, but one way you can improve your extraction is simply by increasing the ratio. More water through, more extraction. You don't need to do finer grind in order to improve your extraction. In fact, a lot of times that makes it worse. Makes it harder for water to get through evenly, makes it more bitter, just not as good. And again, I cannot say this enough, you don't need high pressure for body. Crema is coming out at like 2 bar, 3 bar, all right? So if you're grinding finely enough for it to achieve that, you're gonna have that crema if that's a worry for you. A lot of that's just how fresh is your coffee, how you're grinding it, how dark it is. Anyway, so that is dialing in the lighter roast coffee. Yeah, it's pleasant. It's got a nice bouquet of flowers on it. It's got some rose in it. It's got a lot of like kind of really ripe fruits, almost overripe fruits in it. There is sort of that kind of bitterness that comes along with the crema that I am not a huge fan of when it comes to these lighter coffees. I feel like it's kind of, I think that bitterness from the crema really fits a lot better with darker roasted coffees in general, because you're not really going for these more dainty type of tasting notes like florals and fruits. So with this one, my preference would be still using this profile, just elongating it so it's longer contact time. It's closer to something like just a really low pressure, long contact time espresso. So that is the flexibility you have with this recipe, though. You can go in, start at the coarser end of things. If you're at 0.8 bars, still try it, and you might really enjoy it. Maybe add water to it. That might help it, but this way you have a lot less sink shots. If you were doing a typical profile, a typical 9-bar shot on a typical espresso machine, this shot, that first shot that we did, that was at 0.7 bar, it would have all come out in 7 seconds, and it would have tasted putrid. It would have flown everywhere, been really ugly, etc. Right here, it's good to go because we elongated it with that flow first control. Anyway, this is just the first video. Give you kind of the nuts and bolts of how to brew espresso on what I think is the kind of ideal beginner profile, something that I still use from time to time, but it is easy and it is something that will give you a lot to play with. It's not as kind of myopic and boxed in as what a 9-bar pump style machine gives you, which is a specific water debit and a specific pressure threshold. So you're really only messing with grind size and your dose. With this, you can play around with completely different in products by the pressure profile. The pressure is a byproduct of it, and you can dial in for it to have varying amounts of pressure throughout the shot, giving you a wide range without even having to deal with the app of the machine or playing around with different components that you can control as you learn more about your coffee. But I highly recommend you kind of master this first, understand what all it can offer on different varieties of coffee, different roast levels, different performances before you jump in to anything else. But anyway, that is our first video. I hope that you found it helpful. I hope that doing, these 3 shots on each and understanding the mechanics of the machine when it comes to one specific profile gets you going on your first delicious shot. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more.